This is the new Toyota Auris, and to tell you the truth, when I first saw it at the Paris Motor Show, I could not believe the Japanese could make something with the Corolla successor that would not look like a bucket of horse manure. By the way, in Kiwi and Aussie land, this thing is still called the Corolla.
But back here in Central Europe, we've got the Auris, and it looks surprisingly good. Maybe it's because from every angle it looks like something I already know. I spoke to several people about this car, and some thought it looks a bit like the Lexus CT200H. In my dictionary that's an insult, but from what they said I gathered they like any Lexus, even if it's got Prius underpinnings.
Now, one problem I have with this rather nice back here is that the automatic car wash does not really clean it properly. It's the same problem with the Peugeot 308. The boot, it's 360 liters, which is pretty good, but the new Golf offers 20 liters more. I like the hooks to put your shopping bags. I don't like the cheap floor. It's probably got to do something with economy and weight reduction and ecology, obviously, but I'm not gonna eat it, am I? In the back there is place for 3 adults because the floor in the middle is almost flat. There is also good headroom despite the optional panoramic sunroof. There are cup holders in the rear doors and in the front doors as well. In the front it gets interesting because the dashboard is almost vertical. It's a bit like in a sports car. I got into the Auris straight from a GT86. Now, it's not the same, but I see the connection.
The dashboard is simple, made of soft touch plastics, and in some places there's even leather. Of course, this is not the entry €16,000 model. For this particular example, you'd have to pay something to the tune of 25 grand. What do you get for this money? The list is long, so I'll just mention a couple of elements. For example, this car has auto high beam, which is very useful when driving on dark roads outside of town, and it really works without blinding the other drivers. We also have automatic parking system and a CVT gearbox.
I don't think I know anyone who would like the continuously variable transmission. That's because the drivers don't really know what's going on with the car. They press the accelerator, the engine is whining, but the whining has nothing to do with acceleration. That's because the CVT gearbox selects optimum revs depending on the speed and acceleration.
Here under the bonnet we have a 130 horsepower 1.6 petrol engine. Toyota claims fuel consumption of less than 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers in urban cycle and 5 in extra urban cycle, but in real life I suggest you add about 30% to this claim.
The steering is very light, too light in fact, because sometimes I find myself drifting from the lane. The Auris is flat enough through the corners and the suspension absorbs bumps nicely. The new Auris is manufactured in Burnaston in the UK. From the start it is available with petrol, diesel and hybrid drivetrain. Later on in the year we'll also see the Touring Sports version, which is a station wagon, something that Toyota missed out on in this segment for many years. Okay, so the new Auris may not end up on my list of sexiest cars this year, but it's still a great improvement from the previous generation.